Hello, my name is Em, and welcome to a teapot tour that no one's really asked for, but I've just spent a little too much time on this, so I felt the urge to overshare a mediocre teapot tour with the internet. So I thought I'd start off with a tour of the interior of my house, which I've chosen to be the standard Mondstadt mansion. So any teapot enthusiast will most likely be familiar with the house layout, but just as a quick recap for those that are not, there are 2 floors to the house. The first floor has 3 rooms and 1 large common area, while the second floor has 2 rooms and an open style corridor. The first floor common area here is something I actually struggled to design. I've never had to deal with decorating such a large indoor space before, so I found it a bit awkward to come up with one whole cohesive design. So instead, I decided to essentially divide up the large space into different segments. I've used bookshelves to create this separation space, and so the first space you see here is the reception area. Now, if we were to circle around the reception counter to the left, we have the main area that serves as a living room. I personally think I'd really enjoy hanging out in a living room so cozily surrounded by bookshelves, so hopefully my teapot companions will as well. To the side here, I put a little alchemy table in hopes that it'll help me manifest an Albedo rerun banner super soon. Please, MiHoYo! Below the staircase, I put a little tea area that used to be super spooky at night, but these additional lanterns really helped it to stop looking like a haunted tea table. But my personal favorite outcome of separating the space is this nice little corridor that I get that leads to the guest bedroom. I really like how private this makes it feel, and the windows help soften the area out from feeling too harshly confined. Which leads me to the first room on the first floor that I wanted to share. I wanted to design it as a guest bedroom, especially like one of those cozy hotel suites, which does sound like an oxymoron, but those actually do seem to exist. I'm really happy with how I managed to keep the beds away from the pathway of the door, but still keep the room functional and spacious. Over to the left of the entrance is a mini in-house bar / cafe / general lounge area. Ideally, I'd have placed the same bar stool and countertop that are in Angel Share, but for now, I'm making do with these lower stools. The final room on the first floor is a dining room that could also serve as a conference room. I've tried to cram in as many chairs in here as I can so it can cater to travelers' many friends, but I also didn't want to just shove in 50 chairs and hope for the best, so I consider this to be a nice balance between aesthetics and chair load. Now on to the second floor. Once we reach the top, I've designed a small reading corner. If we walk a little further in, I tried to create a gallery-ish, study hall-ish corridor thing along this side, but it's still really a work in progress since there aren't enough unique paintings for the walls. The middle part of the corridor is a simple open study / library. I have a few 2-person study desks across this side of the corridor that kind of remind me of those cafes with those secret second stories that the hip regulars like to gatekeep by glaring you down with a cappuccino in one hand and a Polaroid in the other. Well, yeah, these are kind of inspired off of those, but like a more friendly version. The 2 final rooms are the home office and another bedroom. The office is my attempt at a knockoff version of the Grandmaster's office, so there's nothing really special about it. I do really like the sofa wall though. It adds a touch of playfulness to a room that is rather stiff without it. And for the grand finale, the upstairs bedroom. Except there's also nothing special about this room since it probably looks the most like a normal room compared to the other rooms in the house. I designed the upstairs bedroom to be centered around bookshelves since they are the most predominant Mondstadt themed furnishing items, so naturally I gravitated towards these. So the bed here is kind of cradled by these 2 larger bookshelves, and I know I've already placed like 16 fireplaces inside this house, but I really am a sucker for this fireplace furniture, so naturally I had to put one in this room as well. Outside of the house, there are 4 separately themed outdoor areas, with this particular area that the mansion is placed on being Area 2, which I have named Main Area. Mostly because this is a super boring area and it has nothing going on for it and no unique characteristic that sets it apart, except for the fact that I have the mansion here. Well, anyways, it still does have a small garden here that I've centered around this fountain, and Venti of course. Outside of the gates, I have 2 parallel rows of Mondstadt buildings I like to imagine are the town residential complexes. Now, if we were to travel along this frontmost path, we get this next area, which I've named as Beach Village. At the entrance, I created a small beach market. Personally, I really love this area, especially at nighttime for how warm it feels in an otherwise pretty lifeless teapot. Behind, I've also created a row of restaurants to truly emulate those night market vibes, as well as a few outdoor tables for dining. Ahead of the market, I placed a row of benches and a few picnic areas for visitors to enjoy. And at the end of the road, I placed a small viewing deck. I used a few of these houses here out on the beach to serve as private beachside villas, which I'm not really a huge fan of, but I think it fits in with this concept of a beach village, so it's staying for the time being. Moving on to Area 3, I created a small grape farm. To say that these grapevines only cost me some time and killed only a fraction of my brain cells from stress is actually an understatement. Crafting like 70 grapevines that each take 14 hours to make and having to chop down an entire forest of fir woods every single day, not to make large buildings or bookshelves that make you feel like you accomplished something, but to only make these tiny fingernail-sized grapevines kinda cost me my entire sanity. On the bright side, I think it turned out great, so perhaps trading in my sanity for teapot aesthetics was a fair trade. Here, I essentially created two paths with the grapevines, one that leads up to a small outdoor sitting area, and the other being the main path out to the winery village. If we follow this side path, there's an elevated garden picnic area. Although these vines make it a little hard to maneuver on this area at times, I still enjoy how it makes it feel like a secret garden of sorts. The main road is a little less interesting since there's really only a plain old village at the end of the road, but if we were to follow this path around the village houses, we can reach the final area that I've decorated. I've placed a lot of windmills all throughout this area, so I've appropriately named this area Windmill Village. If we climb up one of these windmill ladders, there is this garden picnic area. I like to imagine the residents of these houses use this as their private gathering place. Climb a little further up and there is yet another area that I've simply designed with a fountain and a few benches. Now, I thought about leaving the opposite side of this village bare since no one would really see it and no one really needs to see it, but then I felt like I was leaving a project unfinished, so I completed the backside in a similar fashion as well. There's also this area I just created recently off a whim, but I'm absolutely in love with how it turned out. It's a simple tide pool inspired picnic area that is beautiful to sit around both during the day and night. I personally like to use it as my wishing area, but I feel like I've had pretty bad luck here though, so maybe it's time to move on to another location to wish. Well, that's all I have to share on my cool Isle map. I do have almost completed areas in my other realms as well, so please let me know if you want to see a tour of my other two realms. Thanks for sticking around till the end. Bye!